In this lecture, we'll discuss about revisiting irrational numbers. Irrational numbers are part of real numbers. We can say the combination of rationals and irrationals is real. So, we will discuss here irrational numbers, and already we know that the irrational numbers are of two forms. One is decimal form, one is the number having rational power, or we can say radical sign we use in that. So in this topic we will discuss how to prove a particular number is an irrational number. If we talk about rationals, the decimal expansion of rationals is terminating or non-terminating repeating. So here we can say either it is terminating or non-terminating repeating. But if we say the decimal expansion of irrational numbers, it is non-terminating, non-repeating. So non-terminating, non-repeating. It means we can say after the decimal, if we write the digits, they are not repeating. So for example, 0.1001, if we write these kind of numbers, then there is no fixed pattern. There can be any numbers like this. So 2 points are there. Non-terminating means we will never get remainder 0. And non-repeating means no repetition will be there. But in the case of rationals, they are either terminating. Terminating means after some stage we get remainder 0. And if remainder is not 0, then either 1 digit, 2 digits or a string of digits are going to be repeated. This is one form of rational numbers in the decimal way. Otherwise, we write the rational numbers in the form of P by Q, where Q is not equal to 0 and P and Q are the integers. But what we are going to discuss about irrational numbers in this particular topic is, for example, if I say √2, √3, √7 and so on. These type of numbers we know irrational, but how to prove them irrational, that we are going to learn. So, first of all, I'll take one example. Irrational numbers can be represented on the number line also with the help of Pythagoras theorem. But here we are going to prove how this √2 is an irrational number. For this we will be using one theorem. That theorem says, for any positive integer, if P divides A square, where A is also a positive integer, then P will also divide A. This we are going to use for this proof. One more thing is there. If we want to say √2 is an irrational number, then its decimal expansion also can show us that it is non-repeating and non-terminating. But we are not using the decimal expansion. Rather than that, we are using a method which is called method of contradiction. Means this says that whatever is asked, just assume the opposite of that. For example, I have to prove the sky is blue. I'll just assume the sky is not blue. So whatever is to be proved, just opposite to that we are going to assume, and after some known facts, we will say that no, our assumption was wrong. So ultimately, whatever is to be proved, that will be correct. So here what we have to prove is √2 is an irrational number. So our assumption will be just opposite to that. Suppose √2 be not an irrational number, then if it is not irrational means it is a rational number. So that will be our assumption. We will just write, let √2 be a rational number. and any rational number will be expressed in the form of p by q. So root 2 is equal to p by q, and the characteristics of these p by q, this p by q is what? P and q should be co-prime. P and q are co-prime. Co-prime means they don't have any common factor other than 1, or in other words the SCF is 1. Now on squaring this, if we square on both the sides, this will become root 2 square is equal to p by q the whole square. That would be p square by q square. We'll transpose it over here. Root 2 square is 2. So 2 q square will go on the left hand side. This shows that 2 divides p square. It means that 2 divides p also, by that theorem what I told you. So here we can write 2 divides p square. So by the theorem 2 also divides p. This is first part. If 2 divides p, it means we can write p as the multiple of 2. So suppose we are taking p as 2 into some c, a variable which is a positive integer over here. So in this first we will substitute where we have got this p square is equal to 2q square. In place of p we will substitute 2c. So this will give us 2c the whole square, that is 4c square. So what we have got? 2q square is equal to 4c square, or q square is equal to 2c square. Now observe this. This again shows that 2 divides q square. So that we can write further 2 divides q square. So by that theorem 2 divides q also. Now what have we seen? 2 divides p also, 2 divides q also, but what was the assumption? The assumption was p and q are co-prime. When we are saying co-prime, they cannot have any common factor other than 1. But what are we observing? There is one factor, that is 2, which is common. So this cannot be wrong. So what was wrong? Our assumption. So this is called the contradiction. Means what we had to prove just opposite to that, which is contradicting the fact. That is why the assumption is wrong that root 2 will be a rational number. So what will we say? Root 2 cannot be a rational number. It is an irrational number. So after this we will write, therefore 2 is a common factor of p and q. But this contradicts the assumption and what is the assumption? P and Q are co-prime. So the assumption is wrong. Later on we will say, therefore the assumption is wrong. Assumption was root 2 is we assume let root 2 be a rational number. So that is wrong. So assumption is wrong. Therefore root 2 is an irrational number. So any irrational number, for example, root 2, root 3, root 5, root 7, root 11, where the number inside the radical sign is a prime number. How can we prove it? We will take the method of contradiction. Means whatever number is given to be proved as an irrational, we will assume it as a rational. And ultimately by the facts, what are we going to prove? The assumption is wrong. So that what is correct? Root 2 is an irrational. we can also prove the combinations of the numbers also as irrational. For example, if it is asked, prove that 3 root 2 is an irrational number. This is to be proved. In simple way, we can say rational into irrational is irrational, but no. What are we going to do? We will just prove it by the method of contradiction. We will assume, let 3 root 2 be a rational number. Now, when we are saying this is a rational number, we will equate it by P by Q. Conditions are same. P and Q are integers. Also, P and Q are co-primes. Now, we don't have to prove in this case that root 2 is an irrational number whenever the question is of combination. Because here we take it for granted, like root 2 is an irrational. So, whatever is attached to this irrational number, that quantity we will transpose on the other side. So this root 2 will be P by 3Q. Now if P by Q is rational, then P by 3Q will also be rational. Okay, P by Q will also be rational. But how can we say an irrational number is equal to rational? Where are we reaching to? An irrational number is equal to rational number. So it means what? The assumption is wrong. What was the assumption? 3 root 2 is a rational number. So we will say it is not possible. This is not possible. Not possible means the assumption is wrong. So 3 root 2 is an irrational number. Therefore, assumption is wrong. So ultimately we will say 3 root 2 is an irrational number. That we will write last. Therefore, when assumption is wrong, so ultimately this is an irrational number. Like this. If question is prove that 2 plus root 7 is irrational. Same way, this we will assume as rational, except this irrational, everything else we will transpose, and that would be a rational number. So ultimately where we will be reaching? Irrational is equal to rational, which will be wrong. So again we'll go back to the assumption which is wrong. So ultimately the combinations which is given will be an irrational number. So any number plus, or it can be 3 minus root 5 or root 5 minus 7, something like that. Clear? So except the irrational, everything else we are going to transpose on the other side, so that ultimately it will be irrational is equal to rational, and we'll go back to the assumption. By proving assumption wrong, we'll come back to the statement. What is given means the combinations, these all will be irrational numbers. Here we will discuss now revisiting rational numbers and their decimal expansion. Any rational number when we write, it is in the form of P by Q. And if we discuss about its decimal expansion, there are two possibilities. One is it is terminating, or second is non-terminating. When it is non-terminating, it is non-terminating repeating one. So how do we decide that whether this will be terminating or non-terminating without actual division? There is a technique. Then now look at some numbers. For example, if I say 0.375. First form we will see how to change decimal into rational, then rational into decimal. If simply this number is given, we can say it is 375 by 123. Simply we can change any decimal into rational number. But if you look at the denominator is having the prime factors, and the prime factors means 1000 when you break. This will be 10 into 10 into 10, and each 10 we are having 2 and 5. So we can say this is 2 to the power of 3 into 5 to the power of 3. Like this. If more numbers you take, for example, 0.25. 0.25 will be 25 by 100. Again, if you see the denominator is 10 into 10, means 2 square into 5 square. If you take all these types of decimals, it means that terminating. Why are they terminating? It all depends on the denominator. If the denominator of any number is having prime factors 2's and 5's, then that will be terminating decimal. But if suppose any number which we are getting, like for example 0.3 bar, this is something like 0.3333, non-terminating, repeating. So two types of decimal expansions we will see in this rational number, terminating and non-terminating. But what will decide terminating? The prime factors of the denominator when the number is expressed in its lowest form or the standard form. Let's see how. Suppose I take a number simply 1 upon 2 and I have to check whether it is terminating or non-terminating. The very first thing I will write the number in the first step is standard form. Standard form is also called lowest form. What is the meaning of lowest form? Then when you write a number in the form of P by Q, P and Q should be co-primes. That is called the lowest form. So 1 upon 2 is in its lowest form. We will check the denominator. If the denominator is in the form of 2 to the power of m, where m is a positive integer, or 5 to the power of n, or 2 to the power of m into 5 to the power of n, where m and n are non-negative integers, then that decimal expansion will be terminating. So here if I want to write its decimal expansion, I am not going to divide it. Rather than that, I will see the combination of this 2 with the 5. Why? I have to write the denominator in the form of multiples of 10. That is easy job to write the decimal expansion. So here if simply I will multiply it by 5 up and down, then this would be 5 by 10. So it is 0.5. It means that whatever are the prime factors of denominator, we have to check and we have to complete the pairs of 2's and 5's. For example, if I take another number 1 by 125. So what are the prime factors of denominator? 5 cube. So again it is terminating, because what did I say? The number in the standard form, it is, check the prime factors, they should be in the form of either this or this or this, so it is in the form of this. Then if you want to write its decimal expansion, complete the pairs of 5's and 2's. So how many 2's we require? We require those many 2's whatever are the number of 5's. So 3. So like this we just cannot write any number multiplied by this. What we are doing in denominator, same we will do in the numerator also. So this would be 2 cube by 2 cube. Now 2 cube is 8 and denominator is 1 with 3 zeros. So this is the decimal expansion. Now simply if it is 2's and 5's, or if it is combination of that, combination of any number, for example 15 upon this. This is very easy. You don't have to find out the prime factors of the denominator. Directly we can write 15 upon 10,000 means 4 digits we want after the decimal. So 2 already we have got, 2 more we will introduce. Okay, so this is one thing, how to write a rational number in decimal expansion, means terminating one. Now, the rule says if any number is given in which the prime factors of denominator are not 2's or 5's or the combinations of 2's and 5's, then what? For example, 10 by 3 or 1 by 6 or 7 by 14. If we check these numbers, for example, they are in the standard form, I have taken in the standard form. This is other than 2 and 5. So this will be non-terminating, repeating. The reason is that only. So if we observe 1 upon 6 standard form, but the prime factors of the denominator are 2 and 3, it cannot be terminating. So it is again non-terminating, repeating. And this will be 7 upon 14. Directly we will not do this. I said first we have to check the standard form. So this we will rewrite it as 1 upon 2. So this will be terminating. So what is deciding? The denominator is deciding terminating or non-terminating. So every rational number is either terminating or non-terminating, repeating. But if the denominators of any number, as I said, are not having 2's and 5's, then non-terminating, repeating. But if any number, decimal expansion, is given non-terminating, non-repeating, that would go in the list of irrational number. And there is a direct way to find out that any decimal expansion. How will we find? Directly, and after decimal, how many digits will be there? So for example, any number, rational number, is given with the prime factors like this. It means the number is 1 upon 40. 2 cube is 8, 8 5s are 40. Then after how many places? Means the decimal, after decimal, how many digits will it have? Who will decide? The maximum power of either 2 or 5 or both. If 2 is having to the power 3, it means to write its decimal expansion, we have to make this to the power 3. So how many more 5's are missing? 2 more 5's we have to give, no? So here we will multiply it by 5 square upon 5 square. So ultimately this will be 5 square by 2 cube into 5 cube. Now directly we can write this will be 25 by 3 zeros, means like this. So the decimal expansion is 0.025. So any number, if it is given in this way, you find the prime factors of that, or if directly the prime factors are given, what will decide the number of digits after the decimal? The highest power of either 2 or 5 or both. One last example I'll give you. Suppose a number is having the prime factors 2 raised to the power of 5 into 5 square. You don't have to do anything. Just if they are asking how many digits it will have in the decimal expansion, it will have after decimal 5 digits. Directly we can write on the basis of the power of this 2. Not only 2. If suppose it is given 2 by 2 into 5 raised to the power of 4. Not 2, suppose it is 21. I am not taking the same number. 21 upon like this. So who will decide? This will decide. So in decimal expansion, how many digits it will have? 4. It means after 4 digits, it is going to be terminated. So this all we have seen in rationals and irrationals, their decimal expansions. It all depends on the prime factorization of the denominator when the number is in its standard form. So so for rational numbers and decimal expansions, we have seen either terminating or non-terminating. But rational numbers non-terminating are repeating. If it is not non-repeating decimal expansion, it will be irrational number.